Some more integration questions with definite integrals. Here we have x and a, so 16 part 1, you get 1 over, what is a squared, x squared plus a squared, so 1 over a is 2, 1 over 2 by the inverse tan of x over 2 is what this will integrate to be. Have your tables open in front of you. If you don't, you're crazy. So we're going to have 1 over 2 by the inverse tan of 1, which will be 45 degrees. And then we're just going to get 0, so minus 0. So we're going to get half pi over 4. 45 degrees will be pi over 4, so we get pi over 8 here. Tidy it up this way. You could write it as a decimal if you were asked. Here we have the integral of cos squared x. So you can see here, cos squared x goes to, from the tables, we're going to get a half times x plus a half sine 2x between pi over 2, which is 490, and 0. So we're going to get a half times, we'll leave it as pi over 2 plus a half times the sine of twice pi over 2 minus a half times 0 plus a half of the sine of 0, which is 0. You could identify that earlier and just write 0. So we're going to get a half times pi over 2, which is pi over 4. And this is going to be the sine of pi, which is 180. Sine of 180 is equal to 0. Unit circle. Here's our sine is 0. 0 and 180. Plus 1 at 90. And minus 270 or 270. So we're just going to get pi over 4 plus 0, or just pi over 4 for this one. Number 17. Number 17. Square root of 4 minus x squared, so we have 2 and an x for our square roots. So you can see here, it's going to be the inverse sine of x over 8. So it's just going to be x over 2. And that's between root 3 and 1. So we get the inverse sine of root 3 over 2, which is going to be 60 degrees, minus the inverse sine of 1 over 2, which is 30 degrees. So in degree form 30, in radian form pi over 3 minus pi over 6 is pi over 6. Part 2, we have sine squared x. You can see here what it gives. So we're going to get a half times x minus a half sine 2x between pi over 3, 60, and 0. So we're going to get a half times, we did it in radian form, pi over 3 minus a half times the sine of 2 60s, it will be 120 degrees, and then minus a half times, it'll be 0 minus a half times the sine of 0, so it's just going to be 0 over this side. So it's going to give pi over 6 minus a half by a half by a half pi. Sine of 120 is the same as the sine of 60, which is root 3 over 2, so we're going to get a half by half, 1 by 1 by root 3 on top, and 2 by 2 by 2 on the bottom. So pi over 6 minus root 3 over 8 looks like the answer for this one. 18 part 1, we have the plus, so it's going to be tan, so we're going to get 1 over 9 by the inverse tan of x over 9 between 9 and 0. So the 0 will just give me a 0, so we're just going to get 1 over 9 by the inverse tan of 9 over 9, which is 1. And tan of 45 is equal to 1, so this is going to be 1 over 9. And 45 is pi over 4. we're going to get pi over 36 for 18 part 1. Part 2, we've got cos squared 2x. So in question 18 and 19, these ratios are handy. Cos squared a becomes 2x here, so this a becomes 2x, so we have twice 2x, which will become 4x, and we can simplify it. So we're going to get the integral between pi over 4 and 0, and we can factor out the half in front. It's kind of handy to factor it out at this stage. Then we're going to get 1 plus cos 4x, or a, to integrate. So if we keep our half factored out and integrate it, 1 integrates to x, and cos 4x goes to sine 4x by 1 over 4, so sine 4x over 4 between pi over 4 and 0. So we're going to get half, x is pi over 4, plus the sine of 4 pi over 4, it's pi, sine of 180 is 0, so sine of 180 over 4, and then minus, we're just going to have 0 in both cases for the putting 0 in for x, so we're just going to get a half pi over 4, which is pi over 8. And if we do the second part of 19 the same way, it should be enough for this integration video. We're going to get sine squared 2x, so this, if we factor out this half here, this is the same as a half times the integral between pi over 8 and 0 of 1 minus cos 2x, and x in this case is 2x, so again cos 4x. So we're going to get a half, we integrate 1, we get x, we integrate cos, we get sine, so minus sine 4x over 4. We're putting pi over 8 in, so we're going to get a half pi over 8 minus the sine. 4 pi over 8 is pi over 2, so sine of 90 is 1, so it's just going to be 1 over 4. I can get rid of that, minus 1 over 4, and if we put 0 in, we're just going to get 0. So we're going to get pi over 16 minus 1 over 8, or just leave it with the 8 half factored out. Either one of these two would be correct.